Blessed Friday to you. Take two with Jerry and Debbie getting underway here on EWTN Radio and our affiliates and Facebook and YouTube and iHeart and the app and the internet. It's all over the world. So wherever you are, thanks for joining us. I'm Jerry Usher with the smiling, the beaming Debbie Georgianni this morning.
Do you know why I'm beaming?
I don't know. You'll have to tell us.
Okay, drum roll. We crossed over 500 likes on Jerry and Debbie Facebook page. Thank you so very, very much for liking the page and sharing it with your friends. You know we're not going to stop there. We got to go to 1,000. So you got to help us. Please keep it going. We're on a great pace. Let's keep that momentum happening so that we can get to a point where we can share wonderful little snippets of our faith and little catechetical tools, little practical tools so we can get closer to God. So will you help us? Go to Jerry and Debbie Facebook page, like it, and then share it with the closest, your closest maybe 100, 200 friends. Or if you're like Jerry Usher, maybe you could share it, Jerry, with maybe a couple hundred of your friends.
Yeah, and don't forget to like EWTN Catholic Radio Facebook page as well and EWTN's TV page. And it's just a way to keep the conversation going, as we say. We have just this short 55 or so minutes with you every weekday, and the show re-airs at midnight Eastern Time. But today we're going to talk about really a very basic foundational principle of the Christian life, the spiritual life, and that is giving everything that we have and everything that we are to God. Do we do that? Do you do that? Or do we hold something back from God? It's human nature to do that. So today we're asking you, if you want to call in, maybe you've identified an area of your life that you haven't totally surrendered to the Lord, but you're working on that. If you're comfortable sharing that, great. You don't have to be specific. You can just call up and say, there is this area of my life. You don't have to name it, but you could just say, I'm really working hard on this, or it's been difficult for me. But we want to try and really uplift other people, because there are a lot of people who don't understand this concept, Debbie. They think, well, I'm baptized, I go to church. That's really kind of, what I owe the Lord. But really, we owe God everything.
We sure do, and I've been praying about this topic, Jerry, for the entire week, and I'm struggling a little bit with it. So if I sit out a little and I'm a little quiet and I take notes, it's only because I just think it's kind of a little bit of human nature to hold a little bit back, to try and keep control of some things that you think that are necessary for your life or for your success in life. And I know it's not right. I know Scripture tells us otherwise. I get that. But I find it so easy for us to be able to fall into that. I know I have anyway. If anybody else is like that, please call in and share your experience. 1-800-585-9396. I just want to share real quickly, Jerry, some examples of that is like this idea of neglecting your prayer life out of fear of what the Lord might ask of you. So you maybe say, well, I don't want to say the rosary today. I'm not sure what God is going to unveil to me or what God's asking me to do. And so you kind of push that to the back burner or something of that nature. So what I'm saying is life kind of creeps in and you can rationalize why you kind of keep God at bay. Anyway, I'm basically talking about myself. So there you go.
Well, join us and do it early here, because, again, phone lines do tend to fill up fast. 1-800-585-9396. You are the one who makes the show. You drive it. And again, there are people listening every single day. Keep in mind, this is the important, I think, principle of Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. Your call, your take, your experience, your own personal lived experience is going to touch and, God willing, help a lot of other people who are listening. 800-585-9396. And this could be in a lot of other areas of your life. It could be your finances. They often say, if you want to know a lot about someone's relationship with God, look at their checkbook register. Well, that's kind of changing now. I mean, I think I write about 1 or 2 checks a year anymore. But look at your financial transactions, and you can see, are you giving? Are you really surrendered to God?
You're talking about tithing?
Yeah, tithing, stewardship. Okay. Are you really letting God have control over your finances? That's a tough one. Another area, a difficult area for a lot of people, is impurity. There could be this little corner of your life where you've struggled with maybe pornography or impurity, and you just say, mine, Lord, this is mine over here. I give you everything. I pray, I go to church, go to confession when I have to, but this little corner of my life is mine, God. Or maybe it's gossip or occasionally drinking too much. You see, folks, it's universal. It's across the board. Virtually every one of us has some little compartment in our heart that we just simply shield off, and we say, God, you can have access to everything except this. So what might that be for you? Again, this might be a little bit of a self-accusing type of program, but believe me, you're not. Debbie and I are right in line with anybody else who feels like they're holding back from God.
Okay, so you can tell it's Friday. Because when you just said mine, I was thinking of, Finding Nemo, where the seagulls were going, mine. Maybe that's what we're like. We're thinking to ourselves, we want to hold on to our selfish desires or our vices that we struggle with, or our vices that we've carried along with us as just extra baggage, if you will. And maybe we just think that we can take care of it ourselves, and it just doesn't even relate to our relationship with God. Wow. See, I'm already learning and growing just as we're talking, Jerry, and setting the foundation for the show. So please, if you have something to say and you're feeling a little bit of nudge from the Holy Spirit, now's the time to call in. Here's the number: 1-800-585-9396.
And remember, the key of Take Two with Jerry and Debbie is not to leave things in this particular position. We want to talk about moving beyond these issues in our life. So maybe there was an area of your life that you were holding back from God, and you've worked really hard, and now you believe you've surrendered that to Him. Please call and share that if you've had a triumph, if you've had a victory, because really the spiritual life is about incremental steps. Nobody's going to come to Jesus and immediately just say, Lord, here's my heart, here's everything I am, everything I have, and just do that in a perfect sort of way right away. It can take maybe a whole lifetime. The saints, it takes them a lifetime to achieve that. So if there's been something in your life that you thought maybe, I was holding that away from God, but now I really believe truly in my heart I've given that to God, please share that, because that is going to enlighten and inspire someone who's maybe kind of stuck in that same place that you were. So we want to hear some victory stories today as well.
Right. I'm glad you said that, Jerry, because I kind of breathed a sigh of relief, because as you were saying that, I was thinking, okay, Lord, it's okay that I'm still a work in progress. So I kind of like that. So that kind of made me feel better. Now I feel better about the show. Okay, 1-800-585-9396. This is your show. It's Take Two with Jerry and Debbie and you. So please tell your friends all about this show. Grab your cup of coffee, your cool drink, and sit with us for the entire hour. We'll be right back.
Celebrating 100 years of Fatima with Monsignor Charles Pope.
On July 13, 1917, Our Lady spoke to the children at Fatima, and she said, "Continue to pray the rosary every day in order to obtain peace for the world and the end of the war." It's not a difficult request, it's not a complicated request, and yet, do we do it? Do we pray the rosary every day? Our Lady makes this simple request, and she says that it will make great differences, that wars will end, that conflicts will be resolved, and that conversion of sinners will be obtained. If praying the rosary can end a war, how much more so can it also end conflicts within us, in our families, and among each other? Prayer changes things. Do we pray the rosary every day? A simple request of Our Lady. Pray the rosary every day.
Join EWTN as we celebrate the 100th anniversary of Fatima. Visit EWTN.com/Fatima.
The Holy Father's prayer intention for the month of August is that artists of our time, through their ingenuity, may help everyone discover the beauty of creation.
Al Krista.
If you talk to professional philosophers, they're not relativists. Philosophically, relativism can't be justified. People sacrifice objective truth, objective morality, on the altar of personal liberty. In other words, in pursuit of what I want to do, I will say, well, that is not binding on me. That's just your opinion.
Krista in the afternoons, weekdays at 4 p.m. Eastern on EWTN Radio.
Hello, this is Bishop Robert Baker from the Diocese of Birmingham in Alabama.
I'm Peggy Normandin, but you can call me Catholic.
Hello, friends. This is Father Wade Menezes of the Fathers of Mercy. Thanks for listening to the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network.
We are so delighted that you're with us on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. And we want to thank our show team, Rich Jesse running the controls, our producer, Jeff Burson, social media, the memes, the graphics. Matt Gabensky is the first one you get to talk to. And once you make it through the very, very gentle Matt Gabensky call screening position, then you get staged and you get on the program. And we have a special guest, Debbie. We just want to let people know that Father Jorge from the Philippines is studying in Rome, and he is visiting EWTN and sitting in the studio in Birmingham today.
And we got to speak with him, yeah.
Yeah, so we ask everyone to keep Father Jorge and his studies and his priesthood in their prayers.
Absolutely. He's a wonderful priest to talk to. Wow, we just enjoyed it so very much, and we're glad he's listening in on the show and blessing the show, because he said he's saying prayers for us and all our listeners, so that's wonderful. Okay, right to the phones, because we are just lighting up with calls, with takes, and you wanting to share your experiences. So there is one open phone line. Please call in 1-800-585-9396, and when a line becomes open after that, jump in. Don't wait. Linda was first up in Brighton, Colorado, listening on Denver Catholic Radio. Hi, Linda. Welcome to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie.
Hi there.
Hi.
I'm calling because what I struggle with is my prayer life. I just can't seem to make it consistent, although it has improved a little bit. It's just, I'm a night owl, and so I stay up late. When I wake up, I hit the ground running. So it's basically a big part of the problem is that I'm like this addicted night owl, and I've always struggled with that ever since I was a kid.
Addicted to what, Linda? Is it TV?
Is it staying up late?
Staying up late. But what do you? Can you share what you're doing? I mean, I don't want to delve into your personal life, but I mean, is it watching TV? Is it being on the internet, social media stuff, the usual stuff like that? I mean, is kind of you distracting yourself like that, or?
Well, I have kids, and whenever it's quiet, then I feel like I can make a lot of ground and get stuff done, and then after that, I want to relax, and then just look on the internet for things like, it's not even really on the, it's mainly like check my emails and just other things like that, but not really too much on the email, or set my alarm or look at my calendar. And then I like to read, but I mean, it's good, but it's just that it's too late.
Right. Well, I share what you are expressing here, Linda, myself, and I find a lot of things to do other than pray, and I do try and pray. In fact, I go to Mass, try and go to Mass every day. I try and get there about a half an hour before so I can get in my rosary and my chaplet, but just that, for me, I think one thing that I'm holding back from God is mental prayer, listening to His voice. I don't know if that's been your experience, and Debbie, I want you to weigh in on this, but I don't know if there's a subconscious fear, like Debbie, you mentioned at the start of the show, of what God is going to ask of me, require of me, where He's going to lead me. But I know for me personally, I really struggle with sitting and being still and just listening to God. Debbie, do you have some thoughts for Linda?
Yeah, actually, that's a good point, Jerry, and we should really address that. But Linda, one thing I just want to share with you, I'm a night owl as well. And I have learned that there's no way I can wait till the end of the day, even though I know I have all my energy at the end of the day to pray. I've learned that. So what I have done, and I'm not suggesting that this would work for you, because I know you sound very busy, and I don't want to add one more thing to your schedule. However, having said that, I actually set my phone alarm, and I set aside 10 minutes 3 times a day. I picked 3 because 3 is my favorite number, the Trinity. And I set my alarm on my phone, and it goes off. And when it goes off, I set aside that time where I say, no way, I'm not going to answer an email. I'm not going to talk to anybody. I am going to dedicate this time in prayer, in solid prayer. And I do that throughout the day, Linda. And I can tell you this, I'm kind of really proud of myself because I actually have a very dedicated prayer life now. When I used to wait till the end of the day, it never happened. It just didn't. I don't know if that can help you.
Yeah, I think it might be able to help me.
Yeah, even in small snippets, Linda. That's the thing. You don't have to sit there for an hour. And Jerry, that brings up to your point. Sometimes the solid that time you need with Jesus in that meditative state, in that quiet space, doesn't have to be an hour. It could be 10 minutes. It could be 15 minutes. It's what works, I think, for you. What do you think, Jerry? That's what I think.
I like that. I like that bite-sized chunks. Again, we hear a lot of spiritual leaders, people in the know spiritually say, if you have to, just make it start off with 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there, and pretty soon it may grow. It may grow, and you're going to really love spending that time with the Lord. So, Linda, there are some thoughts for you on that. Thank you for calling. We appreciate it. And have a beautiful and blessed weekend there in what has to be a gorgeous setting in Brighton, Colorado, especially this time of the year, actually probably all year long. Thanks, Linda, for calling. 800-585-9396. Talking about holding things back from God, just a little corner, a little snippet, a little piece of our lives. And we really want to talk about also how we manage to then eventually give those areas to God. So, Sandy, you were next in Redding, California. And Sandy is listening to us on EWTN Radio in Redding. Hi, welcome to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie.
Hi, thank you for taking my call.
Sure.
Talk about a Holy Spirit moment. I've been struggling with something for just 24 hours. I got into my car, and there you were talking about something that's perfectly applicable. I'm very involved in ministries in our parish. Most of them are things that I'm committed to, that I can't give up. One of them is something that the diocese is actually paying for me to do. It's a class that I'm taking. It's a 3-year commitment. We got a new pastor, and yesterday he asked me if I would become involved in our RCIA program. We don't have a leader. And in spearheading an Arise program for our parish. And I sat down last night and started adding up the number of hours that I'm going to be committed to ministries. And it's somewhere between 25 and 30 hours a week. Part of me says, well, if that's where the Holy Spirit's leading me, I need to just hush up and do it. And the other part says, wait a minute, what about my personal life? If I'm committing to somewhere between a half-time and a full-time job, when will I take care of my grandchildren and do things for me? So I'm sort of struggling with that notion of, do I just take on everything that I'm asked, or do I realistically say, wait a minute, I can't do it all?
Okay, so I have to go first, Sandy, because as you were speaking, I was thinking of my life flashing back in front of my eyes in ministry. And this is what a priest, a very dear, wise priest, said to me when I went to him for spiritual direction on exactly, almost identical, the same topic as you're talking about right now. And he said, no, no, and no. And by the way, Debbie, learn the word no. And he said that over and over again. And I just looked at him and I said, Father, how am I supposed to tell this priest who I love, he's asking me to do this. Maybe God is calling me. And I was rationalizing, I was arguing, I was negotiating. And he said, Debbie, do you know the word no? And here's, I would just impart that to you, Sandy, because what he shared with me after that was this. He said, Debbie, you're already in ministry. You're working in ministry. And you have to have balance. You have to have the ability, like for you, Sandy, it's taking care of your grandchildren and other things that you want and need to do to have a balanced life. And if you're already giving in ministry, if you're stretched too thin, you are going to burn out. You're going to resent it. And it's going to be something that God is not going to be using you at your fullest potential. See, God, he said this to me, and this is what clicked. He said, God is going to be using you at your fullest potential when you are at your solid best, your balanced best. So I don't know if that helps, but when I was hearing you talk, I totally could relate. What do you think?
It does make sense to me. I feel called to help with RCIA. That's part of the reason I'm doing this 3-year commitment class, is because I come out with an advanced catechist certificate, and I think that will help me. The other program is kind of what's tipping the scales over the top. It's not that I don't want to see that be successful in our church, but when I sort of felt like, well, maybe I just need to write down the hours and look at it on paper and see where it comes to. I just hate to disappoint this new priest. He's such a lovely person, and I hate to go to him and say, I can't do this, but I'm fearful that I'm, like you say, I'm going to burn out.
Right. Okay. Run quickly. Here's something you could say real quickly. I'm so sorry, Jerry. It just came to me. How about say to him, Father, I don't want to disappoint you. Right now, I don't have the hours or the time or even the energy to fully commit to this other program. Keep me on the list. Maybe you could call me from time to time. I could give you some advice or anything like that. So keep yourself in the loop, but don't necessarily commit to it. And maybe you might want to get a second or third spiritual direction on this or advisement on this. But I just feel strongly that that's maybe where you could have a win-win. What do you think, Jerry? I'm sorry for interrupting. It just came to me.
No, I was just going to repeat what I often say on this show, Sandy, and you know this principle well. If you've ever flown by airplane, the flight attendants always say, put your own oxygen mask on first, then help others with theirs. There's a reason for that. And you've already answered a question I was going to ask, and that is, and first of all, God bless your pastor. Pastors who look out over their flock and they recognize quality, capable people, and they want them involved. So this is a beautiful thing that he's asked you this. But I was going to ask you, how did this request hit your heart? And you already really kind of answered that. It didn't take root. It sounds like it kind of bounced off your heart, if I can put it that way. And that's not a negative. That's just simply when the request was made, your heart wasn't able to really just welcome it with this great joy and enthusiasm because you already feel like you're maybe a little overextended. So I think that may be the answer to your question right there. But still talk to him. I think Debbie's advice was great, and don't leave the door closed. Just maybe for now, just kind of like you said, put a pen to paper and see what it's going to be like, and maybe give it a little bit of time and see if the Lord nudges you in that direction. What do you think?
Thank you. Yes,
right.
that makes perfect sense. I think I just needed a reassurance that I'm not stepping away from where I'm being called to be.
I know. We can feel guilty, especially if it's serving the Lord and serving the church, but you're already doing that, and you've also, sounds like you got some beautiful little young loved ones to be serving and loving on as well. So thanks, Sandy. Really appreciate the call.
Yes, thank you so much, Sandy. Okay, Carl, you've been waiting so patiently. We're going to move on to you, and then now there's an open phone line. Please jump in because we just know it's going to lit right back up because we have so much to say on this topic today. 1-800-585-9396. Hi, Carl. Welcome from Toledo, Ohio, listening on Annunciation Radio. I love Annunciation Radio. Hi, Carl.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm a surgeon here in Toledo, and I struggled for years with how do I take my faith life into my workplace. And I didn't do it for years and years. And talking with priests, both in confession and spiritual direction, they kind of pointed out to me that some of the sins I was falling into was because I compartmentalized my faith life from my work, so I only practice it really in my personal life. So about a year ago, I started praying with my patients before surgery, and then I took it to where I started praying with the staff in the operating room, and I can tell you it's just changed my life as far as my work goes, and puts patients at ease. I mean, and it's changed the culture in the operating room where things aren't said that shouldn't be said. And, my challenge now is, I've been doing this, and, you just got to maintain it now. And it's not easy to do it in our culture we live in, but when you do it, you really realize how many people out there are spiritual, and you just don't know it.
Well, Carl, I'll just offer a real quick thought here first, and then maybe Debbie has something. But I think this is absolutely beautiful. Thank you for doing that. I can tell you right now, and I can't speak for everyone. There are some people who might be uncomfortable with the surgeon praying with them before surgery, or just not like it at all. But I would absolutely love it, and I find that in most medical settings nowadays, that just not you wouldn't, prayer, God, the faith wouldn't see the light of day in a doctor's office or a surgery operating room or something like that. But I applaud you for doing that. And I know what you mean about it being uncomfortable, because it's really stepping out. You have really taken a step out. You're being bold and you're being courageous. And I just encourage you to keep it up. And Debbie, I know that you would too, because I can just as he's describing the peace that comes and how it sets the patient's minds, more at peace going into the surgeries. What a beautiful gift he's giving them. Absolutely,
you're a leader, Carl, and you are growing in your own faith, and then you're imparting it to those you work with. I think it's wonderful. Now your work becomes a vocation. Carl, thank you, like Jerry said, for being courageous and bold, and I hope others have really taken note and will do the same. God bless you. Have a beautiful rest of your day. Thank you for calling.
Raymond Arroyo.
Part of the success we've had on the world over, I attribute to the audience, my relationship with Mother Angelica, and her teaching me that when you sit with someone, you talk to them, and you create an environment where they will tell you things they wouldn't tell anyone else. That ease, that humor, that warmth, she gave me that, and that's what I try to impart and make a part of every interview we do on the world over.
The World Over, tonight, 10 p.m. Eastern on EWTN Radio.
Catholic radio, I believe, is the greatest tool for evangelization that the church has today. And I know this because we hear from people all over the world that tell us all the time they came to faith in Christ, in the Catholic Church, through Catholic radio. Guy that lives right next door to you, he might not ask you about your Catholic faith, but he'll ask us. He'll call in and say, tell me about the Catholic Church.
Dr. David Anders thinks Catholic radio is important. So should you.
Dr. Ray Guarendi. When I've had enough. I ask parents, when do you decide to discipline? One of the most common answers is, when I've had enough. If discipline is designed to teach, then we need to discipline before we've had enough. We need to discipline because the behavior's wrong, not because emotionally it's pushed us to our edge. Besides, when you get to when you've had enough, you're much more likely to yell and scream and say things that you have to go to confession for. So, the suggestion is discipline out of principle, not emotion. Principle means because it needs discipline, and I'm going to do it when I'm calm. Emotion means I'm going to be moved to do it just because I'm mad.
Have plans for the weekend that will bring you great joy, fulfillment, maybe get some things done around the house, or maybe just relax, maybe sleep in, do something fun over the weekend. Our prayers will be with you as always. Jerry Usher with Debbie Georgianni on Take 2 with Jerry and Debbie on EWTN. As we get set to go to Cherie in Mississippi, just want to reset the show, give you the phone number. It's 1-800-585-9396. Today our topic is do we hold things back from God? We want to have a great relationship with Him. Maybe we're really, really solid in our faith, practicing devout, Mass all the time, rosaries, chaplets. But I think in each of our hearts, if we're honest with ourselves, maybe you don't fit this description. If you don't, I'd love to meet you because I really think that's fantastic. But sometimes we tend to maybe just hold on to this or that or another area of our lives and just really hesitate to surrender it to God for whatever reason, whatever the reason is. And if you've had that experience, maybe you've moved beyond that. Please, if you have, share your story of triumph or victory over holding something back and giving a little bit more of yourself to God. 1-800 585-9396.
Okay, back to the phones. Cherie in Mississippi listening on the iHeart Radio app. Hi, Cherie. Thank you so much. Welcome to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie.
Hi, thank you so much for taking my call. The call that you had call before the last one almost was like a segue into what I was going to say, because I'm actually calling to tell you all about an amazing blessing that I have learned by giving myself to the Lord completely in a particular deep area that I think a lot of women struggle with. I was a very needy person. I was abused as a child, and I wanted to be neat and accepted so badly that in my adult life, I had the opportunity to minister to some young people. And I started realizing that I wanted them to love and accept me. And even though I was sharing the Lord with them, I got so caught up in the ministry that I wasn't really taking care of myself or my family or any of those things. Because I was so needy, there was ministry in it. There was a lot of good that was meant to happen. The Lord had ordained certain things. But because I was undisciplined in my life to take care of my family, to be quiet, to pray, to seek God's will, my neediness and my feeling that I was just supposed to serve had me so wired all the time that I was responding in more of a knee-jerk fashion, and not necessarily, like I was mean or anything, just that it was a knee-jerk type of ministry. So if there was a need, I was going to fix it. And a lot of women I know, we all like to fix things. And so if something was broken, I needed to fix it. But the Lord was trying to teach me, I don't want you to be in the God spot. I don't want you to fix it. You don't even know what I want because you're not being quiet enough and asking me. And so over the past few years, through my own personal set of crises that happened because I was out of order, the Lord has been teaching me a tremendous amount of discipline, but more than that, the purpose and value of my life. And in doing that, He's been healing my brokenness and my past. And so recently, just a few days ago, a young man came to our house, and he was in need, in spiritual need. And he's been coming lately for, the past few months. And I've been learning how not to take that so upon myself that I put myself in the God spot. And I'm really excited about it because there's tremendous peace and freedom. And even though I would love to see his situation healed and I don't want to see him hurt, it just so happened that the Lord had me watch last night St. Ignatius of Loyola's life and the life of the saint, and to teach me that sometimes, and we all know this, God allows people to go through pain. And if we remove that situation in their life and we're trying to fix it all the time like I was trying to do, God can't move in that. So this young person was always, too busy to listen. And he came over the other night, and he was very wounded again because he keeps doing the same things over and over again. And so we sat there, and he was finally ready to listen, and he was receptive, and it was powerful. And I've been, in the past, I would have jumped God's timing. I would have rushed ahead. I would have tried to fix this person's circumstances 6 weeks ago and tried to prevent them from being wounded. But they wouldn't have come to this beautiful place they came to the other night. I'm getting tears telling you this. And I sat there, and my husband and son and I, we all sat there in that situation. And when it was over, I finally understood that we're not supposed to try to be fixing all the time. We're supposed to be praying, watching, and waiting, and being ready, ready for a word in and out of season. And when that person's ready, God will let us know, and He'll endow us with what we need to say.
Wow. I'm soaking it all in, Cherie. All I kept thinking about as you were speaking is you went from Martha to Mary in the Martha. You did, and then I'm listening to you speak and your spiritual maturity on this and how you've grown and how you've evolved into knowing the place of ministry and how God works in the lives of others and how He brings them to that place. And when they come to that place on their own, it's so much better than when we try to fix it for them because it hasn't really taken root in their heart if they haven't come to it on their own. So when I'm hearing you speak, I'm thinking you need to be out there in the world speaking on on lots of stages and helping others to understand that. I felt that strongly, so I had to say that, Cherie. What a story.
I can't believe you just said that, because the Lord has been giving me a platform since this healing, because He's healing my body. I almost died a year ago, and He's miraculously healing my body. And He's been healing my spiritual life, and I have 2 priests, and they're even saying, what are you doing? You're glowing when I see you, and stuff is happening. And I feel like, and I just keep, like St. Ignatius of Loyola, I'm like, oh, why me? Why would God call someone like me? But He uses anybody, and I think it gives Him honor and glory when He picks somebody up out of the dirt, and brushes them off and then gives them a platform, because this isn't me. I'm not this good. God is good. And the other thing, I just had another piece to this that I wanted to just mention, was that, in this young person's life, the benefit that he got because I had mine. It's like, okay, so now he really believed me because I was almost dead, because I ruined my life, because Jesus restored it. He watched that in me, and he sat across from me, and he listened. But we have to wait for God's timing. I'm a returning Catholic. I was gone for 30 years. I was a cradle Catholic, left, didn't understand the church. And about 4 years ago, the Lord brought me back into the church. And what He has taught me so beautifully, and this has been an important lesson for me, and I hope others will hear it, is that prosperity ministry and all that, I was all caught up into that kind of stuff. That's not what the apostles lived. It's not what Jesus lived. It's not what the saints lived. When you look at their lives, God used persecution, sacrifice. He took all those things, as we hear the Blessed Mother say and wants us to do, and we hear the Lord say, is we sacrifice ourselves to the Lord, not to media, not to contemporary, not to ourselves. We sacrifice ourselves to Him. And when we do that, what He can do is amazing, because then we are a vessel. And so I came to realize that it's really okay, and I've got tears again, when life gets really, really, really tough, because that's where saints are made.
Cherie, you have a wisdom in you that has been probably born of, it sounds like, some suffering, a lot of life experience, and very obviously the grace of God. And I really thank you for calling and sharing. Just a couple thoughts I would mention here. A couple of principles that I'm deriving from what you're saying, and one is, I think we want to spare others the pain that we have experienced, and that's why we become, or try to become, fixers and really enablers in some situations. I'm not saying that about you. I'm saying that about me and some other people. But we want to really spare people any kind of pain. If we've been through it, we want to just try and be the one to get in there and be the mechanic, the divine mechanic, or how did you put it, the God spot or whatever. But the other thing is, I heard someone very wise say one time, God wants our salvation more than He wants us to help other people to salvation. Something to that effect. And I think that's the old put your own mask on first principle. Because if we're out there trying to help other people and leading them closer to God, but we're not on that same path ourselves, then, what good is it for us ultimately in the end? So I just love everything that you said, Cherie, and really appreciate you calling. Any last thoughts you wanted to share?
No, I was really glad that you said that about putting the oxygen on first, because a priest told me that when I was at my lowest, and I went to confession, and he told me, he said, you have got to help yourself. You're just no good to anyone else like this. You can't give anything if you don't have anything. You're you're bankrupt. You're spiritually, emotionally, physically bankrupt. So I'm really glad you said that, because that is absolutely the truth. Thank y'all for your time.
Thank you. Cherie, pray about it. We have that retreat coming up February 9th through the 11th in Cullman, Alabama. I would love to meet you in person. If pray about it. If there's any way you can attend that retreat, I would love for you to be there as a Christian witness and just to share your life's journey. I think it would really benefit a lot of folks. And it's in Alabama, February 9th through the 11th, and we're going to be giving the details out in about a week and a half. So stay tuned in if you can, and see if it's something that's put on your heart that maybe you can make it.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Cherie. In fact, you can send us an email. Anybody who would like to get information about that, it's not an obligation. You're not committing. You can send an email, take2@EWTN.com. Debbie will get right back to you. She'll put your email address in a list that we're compiling just to send out information, which, as Debbie said, we're about a week or two away from sending out the first substantive email update about what's going on. We're talking to Brother Marion at St. Bernard Retreat Center in Coleman, Alabama, and it's going to be a weekend retreat. It's going to include a trip to the Shrine of the Most Blessed Sacrament in Hanceville, Mother Angelica's final resting place. Debbie and I will be there. We're calling it Standing Tall Retreat. It's not a prideful standing tall. We don't stick our chests out and say, look at me, but we want to help raise ourselves and you up to be the people that God calls us to be in our minds and our hearts. God has created us for a specific, beautiful purpose. And I know for me, much of my life, Debbie, I was beaten down by past life experiences and wounds and traumas, and we get hunched over, spiritually, psychologically, emotionally. We get hunched over and kind of almost maybe some of us crawling on our hands and knees through life. Well, God wants us to stand. He wants to raise us up to be the dignified, worthy sons and daughters that He has created us to be. So that's what really the whole standing tall concept is about. Tall, by the way, we have made that an acronym for Take Another Look at Life. So we want to help people do that.
Right.
Sorry,
I can't wait. No, not at all. But I was just going back to what Cherie was saying, and I could have listened to her all day long. She was just amazing, and I was thinking about when the gospel story of Martha and Mary, and Jerry, I realized something as we were talking and doing the show, that I also have transitioned from Martha to Mary as well as I get older. And some may think it's because I'm slowing down because I'm older, but that's really not what it is. I actually have more energy now than I did when I was in my 30s, to do things. I really love just soaking it in and hearing the word rather than going and doing. And so it's very interesting. I just had an aha moment. I had to share that. We're getting a lot of Facebook posts and YouTube posts, Jerry, that are asking questions about this exact topic as well.
Yeah, well, let's give out the phone number. We got time to get you on the program talking about holding back from God. We want to give Him everything. In fact, we want to give Him everything, and that desire is a beautiful gift from God Himself into our hearts. But again, there can be any number of reasons why we just maybe reserve a little piece of ourselves, our hearts, our minds, our souls, and we say, God, I give you everything. And then subconsciously we're thinking, well, except this little thing over here that I want to control. Again, it could be... It could be, well, as Carl, one of our callers, suggested, could be not being open to expressing your faith publicly in the workplace, for example. It could be an area of impurity in your life, gossiping. It could be finances, openness to life. That's a big one right there. A lot of people maybe have moved from a contraceptive mentality to a more openness to life mentality. And that's giving God more control and more of your heart. So share how you have achieved this in your life at 800-585-9396. And Debbie, we want to also just mention another way that people can watch EWTN television, Roku.
I don't have the Roku information.
Well, it's just
I know it's a little box.
It's the little Roku box. Just go to Roku.com or EWTN.com and look for ROKU, Roku. You just need that and an internet connection and a TV, and there you go. You've got EWTN television. So voila, just like I said yesterday. But please join us on the show, 800-585-9396.
I apologize for that, Jerry, because I was really excited, and I was reading it like 4 times. We actually got a Facebook post from Camille from Russia.
Yeah.
How cool is that?
Yeah, we'll get back to the phones here in just a second, but we did want to get to this social media post. Go for it.
Yes, Camille, listening in Russia. That is awesome. Thank you so much for listening, and you're a regular listener. Thank you. And the comment or question you have, and I hope I get it correctly, it's something to do with the fact that you're saying, how do we know that it's what's holding us back from God is a bad habit or a spiritual issue, maybe even involving bad spirits. So I hope I got that in context correctly, Camille. What I'm thinking, or what I'm trying to assume that you're saying, is that maybe try to how to discern if it's actually a negative thing that's in our life that is causing us to stay away from God. Are you reading that the same way, Jerry?
Well, what I'm sensing, Debbie and Camille, is she's asking, is it just kind of, is it on the natural level? Is it maybe in our heart, maybe like you said, a bad habit? Maybe is it laziness? Is it just simply a human inability or hesitation to turn something over to God, or is it maybe a spiritual influence? And I think it could be one or the other, or a combination thereof. Mm-hmm. Yeah, when you think about it, for example, I used that example, Debbie, of those who may be closed off to open, not being as open to life as they should be. Maybe using contraception or whatever, and that is really not giving God control over that area of your life. And that is one that certainly Satan, the demons, the enemy is going to really want to try and bolster within somebody. So there's going to be maybe temptation to continue that, or if a person is moving out of that position into a more pro-life, openness to life position, I think there could be some resistance from spiritual forces, influences. But
right.
We don't have to worry about that necessarily. I mean, if we're baptized in a state of grace, we want to not be too concerned about that, but I think it could be any one of the above, so to speak.
Okay, I now I get it. But and here's something that I would suggest for everyone. And Camille, if I hope you are listening, maybe talk to a priest or a deacon or a religious sister. And what I like to say is try to hit the reset button, meaning have them kind of help you go through your life and kind of examine the areas that maybe you've entertained, opening the door to where possibly a Satan could enter in, or maybe even some vices that you need to work on. And like I said, being a work in progress. I think it's beneficial, Jerry, that we do lean on each other, especially our spiritual leaders, and to help us to really understand that we are evolving, we're growing. The saints grew, their stories were always evolving and unfolding, and that's what we are as well. We're on a journey. And so, Camille, if that helps, I would definitely encourage you to do that. I have several priests and nuns and deacons that I talk to. Several. I need several, but but it helps, right, Jerry? Don't you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, I'm meeting with my spiritual director this afternoon.
Very cool.
I try and meet every month or two, and yeah, Debbie does need a spiritual direction team, everybody. So.
Thanks.
Hey, I want to thank Camille for that note, though, from Russia. She teaches English in Russia, so thank you, Camille. And we'd love to hear from anybody anytime around the world. If you're watching on EWTN Catholic Radio Facebook, or if you catch the podcast or the archive or YouTube. So please feel free to comment, ask questions, join us anytime. All right, back to the phones. Lisa, thanks for your patience in Akron, Ohio, listening on Ave Maria Radio. Welcome to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. Hi, Lisa.
Hi, you guys. Thank you so much for taking my call.
Anytime.
I've been recently discovering about myself that I don't have a problem with noticing all the blessings in my life and really thanking God for them every day. But what I do notice is I've been struggling with when negative things happen or when there's stressors in my life. I'm a full-time new mom, and so I'm working. I'm trying to keep my house in order and, keeping that family life just balanced, but it's hard for me. And when I get stressed out, I don't turn to God. I don't look to Him when I'm suffering, even because I think I don't see them as big sufferings. Like I just think, I'm just, this is life. But I really think I need to start offering those up to Him, and I just don't know how to get into the rhythm of doing that.
Lisa, first of all, you're not alone. Okay.
Okay.
All new moms. I mean, first of all, you're juggling a lot. You're probably tired. And when these stressors come in, when these things happen, they are so annoying, and they may be small, but they seem like they're monumental, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, absolutely.
There you go. See, you're not alone. Here's what I will share with you, and I wish I had learned this at your age, because you do sound a lot younger than me. I wish I learned it, and I didn't learn it. It took me 50 plus years to learn it. You really have to take care of yourself and have that sense of balance of rest and take a step back. For instance, when a stressor comes in, don't react. respond.
Okay.
And the only way to respond is if you take a step back. And I know this is a simple exercise, but we taught this in catechetical ministry, and Lisa, I never practiced it. I used to teach it, but never practiced it. Go figure that one out. Okay. This is what the teacher used to say. She used to say, just say a Hail Mary or an Our Father to give you that 10 to 40 seconds to regroup.
Okay.
And guess what happens? It's amazing. That is where you'll make very great sound decisions. You'll be able to respond instead of react. And believe it or not, those stresses that come in on a daily basis, Lisa, because they'll probably be there for the rest of your life, they almost fly right past you. You can almost feel them flying right over your right shoulder. It's unbelievable. And it's such an easy exercise, but I never did it because I was so busy with the kids. I had one child on my hip. I was trying to make dinner with my, you know how it goes. And,
yes.
Yeah, so try that. Just practice it, even just today. And then notice at the end of the night how you go, wow, we had a lot of little hiccups today, but they didn't really affect us. What do you think?
I tend to react very emotionally, and I think I just need to learn how to be patient and not react like that. So I think responding is really good advice. Thank you so much.
Well, you're welcome, Lisa. I would just add two quick things. Maybe you can put your feet on the floor 15 minutes earlier than you normally do when everybody else is still asleep, and just sit. Just sit, and you don't have to say anything. You don't have to think anything. You don't have to do a rosary, any formal prayers. Just sit there and say, Lord, this is your time. I'm going to start my day with this time for you. I think that'll really give you a lot of peace, and you'll really start to feel good about having spent that time with God. And don't forget, the daily tasks you're doing are an offering to God. Everything is a prayer. You can turn everything into a prayer. Thank you, Lisa, for the call. We appreciate that so much. I want to get real quick to Debbie, to a social media, actually a text, I'm sorry. And Linda said, the one thing I think I can handle on my own is my drinking, and I wonder what steps I should take to give it up to God. And Debbie, this is something I think a lot of people face. And Linda, we're running out of time. Got about a minute and a half. I know a lot of people who struggle with this, and it's really difficult because I think, in almost every case, if someone's abusing alcohol, I don't know if you're abusing it, but maybe it sounds like you're drinking more than you would like. It's often just an attempt to escape from something. So I would just really encourage you, ask God, say, God, why do I do this? Because it sounds like you don't want to. You want to move away from this. You want to give this to the Lord. But there is some reason why people, many among us, just really want to kind of, not feel whatever pain might be. It might be subconscious. There might be something in your past. I don't know. But I would just encourage you, maybe take one day. Just say, today, Father, I'm just simply not going to grab that beer, that cocktail, that wine, whatever it is, and see how that goes. See how one day goes. Say, tomorrow I'm going to drink again, but today I'm not going to. Debbie, I don't know, does that sound like
you're saying
reasonable?
Baby step it. One step at a time. I totally agree with that. But the other thing, too, is there's so many programs out there right now that can really help, and there's no shame in having things that you are kind of locked into. All of us are locked into things, whether it's the internet or the television or alcohol or food or gambling or whatever. It's an escape, like Jerry said. Please don't feel like you have to hide it. There are so many programs and resources out there to help you get through it and to not feel that pain anymore, or to embrace that pain and use it in a wise way. I just want to encourage you. I'm going to pray for you that you gather those resources and those opportunities come your way.
All right, very good. And we were just given a little bit of, I think, important information. Camille in Russia is a man. I think we referred to Camille as a female.
Okay.
Camille, and it looks like the middle name is Chris, and I can't really pronounce the last name. But anyway, Camille, sorry about that.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
But thank you again for your listening, a permanent listener, as you said. And thanks for your teaching English to those over there in Russia. God bless you.
Yes, thank you so much. We love hearing from everyone across the world. And don't forget to like us on Facebook. Jerry and Debbie, please make it like a mission this weekend to invite all your friends. We would really appreciate it. Jerry?
Okay, coming up on Monday, we're going to talk about what is your idea of a dream relationship. All right, be thinking about that over the weekend. Have a beautiful and blessed weekend. We'll talk to you soon.